Hey y'all, what's going on? Ali Brathwaite here, and you are listening to the True to the Game.biz podcast. And this is my second episode. Man, I feel like celebrating. This is my second episode here. If you haven't listened to episode 1, I encourage you to do so, because episode 2, what I'm about to talk about today, builds on episode number 1. Okay, so what I'm talking about today is, what does it mean to be true to the game? Now, there's a lot of definitions out there, a lot of people who have their own renditions on what it means to be true to the game. But listen, I've been doing this for a while. I've been in the film game since 2010. That's 12 years now. And I've been in the publishing game longer than that, since 2004. So that's 18 years. So I've been in the game, not just one, but a few for a while. And they all have certain components in common. And that's what a lot of people are missing. They're missing what rings true in every game. And if you notice, I call both of them games, the film game and the publishing game. I could have said the film industry. I could have said, the publishing industry. But I chose game for a reason. We hear people say that I'm in the rap game or I'm in the drug game. When people use the terminology game, it's not that, this is something that is supposed to be played with. What it means is, it's the old adage of art imitates life. And in this instance, it's because certain board games do imitate life. They teach us strategy and decision making that can be applied in real life situations. Let me give you a few examples. For instance, Monopoly, which was a board game that I grew up playing, and I thought it was just a game. It was just a board game. And I was pretty good at it. I had no idea that the principles I was learning in the game could have made me a millionaire. Monopoly teaches money management in a fun and imaginative way. Not like in school, where the only money management that we had back when I was going to school was accounting. How boring was that? And then they wonder why I cut school. But let me give you some examples of some of the financial lessons you can learn from the game of Monopoly. And stick with me, because this is going to make sense in the end. Lesson number 1 in Monopoly is you learn how to diversify your investments. When playing Monopoly, you acquire wealth by buying houses and hotels. And then you charge other players rent when they land on your property. The more you acquire, the more you earn. You can choose to buy a series of small properties, or you can buy a few big properties, which can earn you higher rent. And you can also add income generating utilities to your properties. So now, how does this apply in real life? If you want to have more money, you need to earn it from more than one source of income. Like Monopoly, you can rarely win the game by just owning one property. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. When you're buying more and more properties of different types, you are essentially building a balanced and diversified portfolio by spreading your assets across various financial sectors. And in real life, we do this by putting our money in various investments like stocks, bonds, NFTs, real estate, Bitcoin, etc. Because Monopoly teaches us that we can maximize our return by investing in different areas that would each react differently to the same event. Now that's deep. That's deep. Because check this out. For example, let's look at COVID. When COVID hit, a lot of businesses went out of business while others strived. It's the same situation, pandemic, but it affected different businesses differently. For example, when COVID hit, a lot of theaters went out of business. Big film companies lost millions. Meanwhile, Online platforms like Netflix and Disney Plus saw their sales go through the roof. People couldn't go to the theaters because of social distancing and all of that. So what did they do? They started watching movies from home. They went out and got a Netflix subscription, Disney Plus subscription, HBO subscription. And now these streaming platforms are doing way better than the theaters and the big film companies. You have food apps like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart. They all seen a spike in sales during COVID. Meanwhile, restaurants were struggling to keep their doors open. So although I'm always preaching unity and how we need to unite and stay together and stick together, when it comes to investments, that's the only situation I say diversify, split it up. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And although this does not guarantee against loss, diversification is the most important component of reaching long-range financial goals while minimizing risks. That lesson is taught by Monopoly, a lesson that nobody taught me. Lesson number 2 in Monopoly, it teaches you how to manage your assets. Monopoly is all about managing different types of assets such as cash, property, people, etc. The winner is usually the person who can manage all of their assets. If you do not maintain enough cash reserve for expenses, such as like rent or taxes, then you may be forced to sell or mortgage your properties at a loss to raise money. On the other hand, to win the game, you cannot stay completely safe with just cash. You will need to invest your cash, and that means taking a risk in buying and developing properties. Finding the right balance between both will ensure your victory. This is Monopoly now, a board game that's played by kids, teenagers, even adults. And we're not even peeping the real life lessons that we're being taught here. So now how do we apply this lesson to real life? So applying this in real life situations, a lot of your success in your financial life will happen if you know how to manage all of your assets well. You can't simply focus on keeping your cash while ignoring the value of your home or failing to invest wisely. It is not recommended to just invest your money into the market without also managing your cash flow. To win in finance, you need to manage all of your assets well and keep them growing as best as you can while maintaining a good contingency plan in case of emergency or pandemic or stock market crash or something like that. Another lesson taught by Monopoly. Lesson number 3. Spend wisely to avoid debt. My God, debt is like one of our biggest thorns in our sides. Debt, man. One of the biggest mistakes commonly made by Monopoly players is when they buy everything that they come across on the board. Although the game requires you to earn as much rental income as possible by owning various properties, going on a spending spree can lead to a loss in the game. That's crazy. Owning too much properties can result in you being unable to pay your rent when you land on someone else's property. That's crazy, right? Owning too much property can actually be a liability. You will be forced to mortgage your properties to raise cash, and as a result, lose out on the opportunity to earn rental income on these properties. So now how does this apply to real life? Spending all of your money puts you in the loser's seat. If you do not have any cash in real life, the consequences could be much worse. Taking on too much debt, even if you're investing it, without the means to pay it back, can also set you back financially. Even though you're spending to earn money, you should still balance your inflow and outflow of cash. That's the key, to find that balance. A lot of us are imbalanced when it comes to having cash flow and debt. Many of us fail financially because we cannot strike that balance between cash flow and debt. Another lesson that we learn from the game of Monopoly. We know that even though the money in Monopoly is not real, the emotions can be real. Sometimes we forget it's a game. So whether it's Monopoly or reality, losing money can upset you. Recognize how your emotions may affect your investment strategies in the game. For example, you may feel insecure and stockpile on cash, or become greedy and start buying too many properties and end up depleting your cash reserves. However, emotion should not be the guide to your financial decisions. And this is what happens to us in real life. Most times we allow our emotions to dictate our investments, when in actuality, we need to evaluate each investment from every perspective, the pros and the cons, in order to make the most educated and calculated financial decision. By having a new perspective on money and making rational investment decisions, we will be able to manage our investments better and work our way towards the greater opportunity for making money. And it is for this reason why I encourage people to think really hard about starting a business before they start a business. A lot of us start businesses for the wrong reasons. We want to start a business because we hate our job, or we don't like the way our boss be talking to us, or one of our friends started a business and they're successful. So if they could be successful in starting their business, then I could be successful too. Too many times we allow our emotions to cloud our intelligence. When we dream about owning a business, or we dream about going into real estate, or we dream about investing, we tend to only see the good parts. We dream about investing in Bitcoin and how much money we're going to make, but we don't take into consideration that there have been people who have gone bankrupt investing in Bitcoin. We dream about going into real estate and owning houses and turning them into Airbnbs, not taking into consideration that people have gone into the Airbnb business, and not only did they lose the houses that they purchased for that, but they also lost the house that they were living in. Listen to me very carefully when I say this to you. If you've never ran a business or invested in something, don't do it on your own. Find a mentor. Find someone who's doing what you want to do. But the key is make sure that they're successful at what they're doing. Don't find somebody who's just starting off like you. Don't find somebody, they've been in the game for 15 years. Yeah, but they have just as much money as you do. No, find somebody that is successful in what it is that you want to pursue, and be a student of theirs. Learn what they're doing. Learn the game from them. And this is key. Don't quit your day job. People get into something, they see a little bit of money, and then bam, that's it. I'm quitting my job. I'm doing this full time. This is it. This is it here for me. Don't do that. Please don't do that. You don't know how many people, I know me personally, who seen a little bit of money on a side hustle that they was doing. So they wind up not even putting in their 2 weeks notice. They just ain't show up. They were just like, they can kiss my ass. I'm not going back there. I got money now. Then a month down the line, for whatever reason, their business winds up going belly up, or some things happen, and now they're begging for their job back. Calling their boss, talking about, I had a death in the family. I was so distraught, I didn't know what to do. So I wasn't in my right state of mind. Please, can I come back? Please, can I? Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not quit your job until whatever you're pursuing not only are you making consistent money, but you have enough money saved up in your reserves so that way if anything happens to you, you have at least 6 months worth of reserves to live off of until you can figure out the next game plan. So please don't quit your job when you start seeing a little bit of money. Lesson number 5 from Monopoly. Be prepared for situations that are out of your hands. In board games like Monopoly, very often the roll of the dice determines your fate. One roll of the dice can make the difference between winning and losing. Sometimes the luck might be in your favor, while other times it will not. This is what we call when shit happens. So now, how do you apply this in real life, this roll of the dice? You may come across circumstances in life where, you may get into a car accident or a tree may fall on your house. These are all like random events. You didn't plan for this. You didn't expect something like that to happen to you, but hey, shit happens. And these random situations can have a big impact on your finances if you don't have a plan in place. So we need to have a plan in place to prepare for these random events. If you have adequate insurance, that car accident that you had or that tree falling on your house is not nearly a wipeout that it would be otherwise. If you've saved up a substantial emergency fund, the bad luck of a job loss does not become a financial disaster for you. So at the roll of a dice, you may get some bad luck in your life, but if you plan and you play well, you can overcome much of it and even turn it around in your favor. This is Monopoly now. This is what the board game is teaching us. What it was teaching me, but I didn't even know it was teaching me this. And I wish I knew this is what I was learning when I was playing Monopoly. Another lesson that Monopoly teaches us is it teaches us how to take calculated risks. Sometimes it takes a risky move to win the game. So in real life, sometimes you have to take risks to get ahead financially. It could be taking up a higher paying job in a different country or investing even if you fear that you may lose quite a bit of your savings. Sometimes risks can be worth it. However, do not simply jump in without doing your research and understanding how each decision will affect you financially. Only take calculated risks that you feel have a good chance of paying off. But remember this. Remember this. Never risk more than you can afford to lose. Don't ever adapt the mentality of all or nothing. I'm all in. I'm putting everything in, everything I got, the house, the clothes, the jewelry, the money, the wife, the kids, I'm putting it all on the line. It's either all or nothing. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's a difference between being an investor and being a gambler. An investor is disciplined and weighs every outcome and has contingency plans. A gambler is a person who takes a lot of high risk chances. And believe it or not, their reward isn't in getting paid. Their reward is the rush that they get if they get the reward. Don't be a gambler. Be an investor and know the difference. So that's one board example. Now, I got to throw my game in here. I got to bring up chess. Chess is my game. I love chess, and I have a story about chess that will blow your mind. I mean, I can't tell the story now because this story, the chess story I have, is worth a podcast by itself. So we're gonna save that for now on how I learned how to play chess. But chess is my favorite game, and I'll be the first to tell you I am not a grandmaster. I'm not a master. I'm not even good at chess. but I am good on applying the strategies and the tactics of chess. That's where I shine. So if we look at the game chess, and I'm not here to give you a big history lesson on it and stuff like that, but most people agree that chess as we know it today developed from a 4-player Indian war game called Chaturanga, which dates back to around the 6th century. Now, Chaturanga became modified by different cultures as it spread to Persia in the 6th century, and then on through Russia to the Vikings, and then the rest of Europe. And then it also spread to China, and then into Japan. So it is, the consensus is that chess was a war game. It was about war. So it was invented as a way of building tactical skills and practicing strategic thinking. The chessboard, 64 squares, is the battlefield, and the pieces are 32 in total. They are the soldiers. Strategy and tactics, the two most powerful skills that can make anyone a master of any game. In chess, every piece has a purpose, and you must know and understand what that purpose is. You must know how they move, what their strengths are, and their weaknesses. So in your life, every piece, every person, every relationship has to have purpose. And you have to know and understand their purpose. You must know how they move, what their strengths and what their weaknesses are. And here's where a lot of us fail. A lot of us fail because we have too many pieces on the board. We have too many people in our lives. Or we fail because we don't know how best to play our pieces. We don't know our pieces. So what does it mean to be true to the game? It is very simple. Every game has 3 components. Master these 3 components and you will master any game in any industry, in any business, in any relationship. Number 1, every game has rules. In order to win at any game, you have to know the rules. People kill me when they say, I'm not going to play that game, or I'm not playing that game. Yet they're frustrated because they can't accomplish their goals and they can't figure out why. When I first entered the film game or the film industry, I had to learn the rules of my camera. I had to learn what ISO was. I had to learn what exposure was, what shutter speed was. There's more to being a filmmaker than pointing a camera and hitting the record button. If it were that easy, there would be a lot more filmmakers in the world and eBay wouldn't be filled with used cameras for sale. I had to learn composition, the different camera angles, the difference between 24, 30, and 60 frames per second, what lenses to use and when. And those rules are just for the camera. There are rules for audio, rules for lighting, rules for editing, but you get the point. You have to learn the rules before you play. Whether you believe it or not, there are rules to running a successful business. There are rules to having a successful relationship. There are rules to finding happiness. Those who refuse to learn the rules will not win the game. They will find themselves frustrated, doubting themselves, and always asking themselves the same question: what am I doing wrong? You're not playing by the rules. That's what's wrong. Learn the rules to whichever business or industry you're in. Number 2, every game has players. After learning the rules, you have to learn the players of the game. There are some players who will link up with you and show you how to play the game. They don't have a problem teaming up with you so that both of you can accomplish your goals. Then there are some players who will try and sabotage you and try to destroy you, make you lose the game. That's just how they are. They see you as competition or a threat, and they want to get rid of you. Those are the players you have to stay away from, or the ones you have to be ready to go to war with. But that's for another podcast. And last but not least, number 3, of the components that every game has that you must master is every game has an objective. What is your objective? What is your win? Is it that promotion? Is it getting that new car? Is it owning your own home? Owning a successful business? It's amazing how there are some people who don't even know what their win is. They don't have an end game. And then they want to know why they're not winning. Whatever your win is, it will be easier and faster to achieve if you choose to be true to the game and master these 3 components. Learn the rules, learn the players, and know what your win is. All right, y'all. I think that was a mouthful. And please, if you missed anything, go back. This is a podcast that you just can't listen to one time and say, all right, I got it, I'm good. Nah, these are one of them things that you got to go back and listen to a few times and get it. Because what you don't realize is every component that I went over can be a podcast within itself. And who knows, down the line, I may even do that because there's levels to those 3 components that I mentioned. But thank y'all for listening. And I hope I provided y'all with some value. Leave a comment below to let me know what you think about the podcast. Your comment could be positive or negative. Doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to make me a better player. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, get out of your head and into the game. I'm Ali Brathwaite, and I'm out.